Holy moly, the playoff semifinals are over, and we now know the two teams going into the Tour Championship, and unfortunately, I'm not too happy about it.
Yeah, they're both my teams. Should have worn a firefighter's hat too, but I love the Party Animals. So yeah, Party Animals are able to secure the victory against the Tailgaters yesterday. It got a little close there at the end. We were nervous a little bit. But they were able to pull it off in showdowns, and we can't wait to break it all down. And yes, we're going to have Josh Talevski on in a little bit to talk about pretty much everything and kind of preview where we're going.
Yeah, for sure. And there were so many crazy things that happened in Game 4, and one of the ones that we'll talk about in detail later is the equalizer point. We actually finally saw the equalizer point not only come into play, but how the strategy of it as a whole really affected the game in the favor of the Tailgaters. So we really appreciate you guys being here. As we go through the chat, we will be pulling some of your comments up on the stream. Thank you for that. And also, again, Josh will be on shortly. And then when he is on, if we have enough time, he said he also wants to field some of your questions. So keep us posted in the chat. And yeah, I think as we go into, let's start with Game 4. So Party Animals were up through the first 7 innings, and they were up 2-0. Like Brett Helton on the mound, absolutely stellar performance. That was crazy.
Yeah, Jake Skoll, first ever 2-run home run night in the playoffs, and just an awesome performance by him. He had both of his home runs obviously were the walk-offs that gave them the 2 points when they were up 2-0. And he showed all night why he won the Triple Crown. He had an incredible game.
Yeah, no, it was a very, very good performance for Jake Skoll. And obviously then in showdowns, he ended up pulling it off as well. But really quick, there's a comment that I can't let pass up. We will go into this later on the stream. But Shininator asks, is Brandon going to root for the Firefighters or the Party Animals in the Tour Championship? I might go for neither. I don't know. We'll see. I might just be in the outfield in the sidelines. I'm going to bring my glove, and I'm going to be roving, and I'm just going to try to catch a foul ball. Now I don't have to worry. I was worried if the bananas were in there that I would have to not catch it if a banana hit it. Now, if any ball gets anywhere close to me, I'm catching that thing. And if Zach Phillips proved anything, anyone can catch a foul ball.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was awesome. We're going to talk about Zach Phillips in a little bit. That was literally my favorite moment of the night. But yeah.
He's yeah, exactly. Salty Brandon. Yeah, he's been, so this is funny. So Brandon has, as long as I've known him, and I've known him for a while, he's always liked sports, but he's never been a huge fan until Banana Ball rolls around, and he is a huge Bananas fan. And so I had to tell him on, because you guys, I'm sure most of you saw our reaction video that we posted on Instagram and YouTube. That was totally genuine. That was so crazy. But he was so sad, and I just had to remind him, this is what it feels like to be a sports fan, right? Like, this is how I feel every single time that BYU loses any game, and the Party Animals have not lost in the playoffs, so I'm feeling great. I don't have to. I think they're going to win the whole thing, so I'm not too worried.
Yeah, and with that reaction, if you saw it, let us know if that's something that you want to see more of in the future. We just literally set up a camera in front of us while we were watching the game on the TV, so we could capture anything that happened. And I was going back to review the footage, and I was like, wow, that's a solid moment right there. So we wanted to pass it along to you guys. But yeah, it's a hard moment to be a Bananas fan. I do have to separate that from my overall fandom of Banana Ball. And over the past couple of days, I have been able to come to terms with it a little bit. And I am very excited for the Firefighters. I'm not switching sides, but I am very excited for those players and what they were able to pull off and the chance that they have in the Tour Championship. Like, it's going to be so cool. And I still think that they have an uphill battle against the Party Animals. I still think the Party Animals are by and large the favored team, but to both teams, kudos for winning it. And to the Savannah Bananas fans out there, take heart. We'll get it next year.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the party animals are just so overpowered right now. But yeah, so I definitely agree with you that this is probably the best scenario for the overall growth of the sport. For the Bananas to lose, they're the brand that everyone knows when you think of Banana Ball, obviously, and so for that. For the firefighters to be in there to grow the sport as a whole is just great. All right, Josh has just joined, so we're gonna throw him up.
Welcome, Josh.
What's going on, boys? How are y'all?
Doing great. How are you?
Dude, I'm awesome. I'm thrilled to be on with you guys and talk about Banana Ball. And what a wild weekend it was.
Seriously. I mean, we'll start there. Like, just initial thoughts right now. Like, what's going through your head with this entire playoff run?
It has been everything I think we could have hoped it would be. Genuinely. I think we just saw all the highs of Banana Ball in a lot of different ways. You got to see Dalton Cornett hit a home run out of the park in showdowns after the Bananas forced a Game 3. So you got to see that Game 3 showdown tiebreaker come to fruition. You got to see the equalizer point come into play for the Tailgaters. And not only did it wind up netting them an extra point, they wound up with 2 points in that inning because, of course, the Hampton trick play missed leads to a run scoring for the Tailgaters. Party Animals kind of shot themselves in the foot, whether they knew it or not. They learned after the fact, but in that moment, kind of shot themselves in the foot twice. And obviously, huge learning experience, not only for them, but the rest of the teams in Banana Ball going forward, if this equalizer point kind of continues to stand the test of time in 2026 and beyond. And then again, we had more showdowns. It was pretty epic. I mean, you loved seeing the guys put it in play more than showdown chases, but I still think that they were pretty fun endings regardless.
Yeah, for sure. I'm absolutely blown away. I was not expecting it to be this this good. It's been awesome.
Yeah, we talked a lot about the equalizer point in our previous live streams of just how that obviously changed, just the intensity of trick plays. Trick plays are always cool to look at, but when they actually mean something for the scoreboard, it just made it more tense. And so to see the equalizer point actually win was really, for someone to actually get a team to actually get an equalizer point come into play, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I loved seeing it. These guys are out there every day at practice just ripping trick plays. I mean, they're not practicing plays the standard way. Everything they're doing in practice is always trick plays. Really forces guys to be at their best, which is really exciting. And the other thing is, I think we still saw a really nice, diverse array of trick plays across the weekend. You saw backflip catches from DR Meadows and Zach Watson. You saw some under the legs catches, behind the back catches. You still had the classic between the legs transfers and everything too. It was really cool to see what all the guys were throwing out there and still see some pretty high level of difficulty trick plays at the same time.
Yeah, I think my favorite part with all of that was the increase in intensity and quantity of the double trick plays. Like, the double trick plays really mattered because that's such a hard moment. The couple times it's happened this season where they go for it and they miss it. And it's like, you had the out, but by now having something there, it's like, oh, you're not just trying to be flashy or just trying to like do it for the show. It's like, you're trying to win the game here. And it's such a cool moment when that happens.
Exactly. And it forces all of the guys on the field to be at their best when it comes to communication. I mean, yeah. I know when me and Beeko are on a call and we see those missed double trick plays all the time, a lot of it comes down to sometimes that lack of communication. You know, somebody tips it, expecting their teammate to be right beside them or right behind them. The ball winds up falling to the ground and everything. And we saw good examples of that across the weekend. I believe it was either Cox to KJ or KJ to Ryan Cox, communicating rather instantly, like, hey, I'm popping this to you. You have the opportunity to try and get a double trick play. I don't think they did in that situation, but that's the kind of thing that you want to see if you're going to be able to continue to rack up more trick plays via double trick plays.
100%. Yeah, because then you also have those situations where I think it was Sal Jacobo where they did get the equalizer point because he went for the double trick play behind the back and missed it. And yeah, no, it's so cool to see how that in that moment being down 3, you go for the double trick play because you need to kind of catch up. So like really, really fun to watch like the forced situations there, and kudos to the tailgaters for putting that pressure on the party animals.
Yeah, man, they're a really scrappy bunch. I mean, they played the Party Animals hard all weekend long, and that was really awesome to see. I just can't commend both of the two new. I mean, the Firefighters are still kind of relatively new considering they played 19 games in 2024 before getting 33 games just like the Tailgaters on this World Tour. Like, these are still two new teams, and obviously we saw the Firefighters able to advance to the championship. Those Tailgaters played really darn hard against the Party Animals. And, cool to see pitching performances like we got from John Reed. And again, just the consistent trick plays that they had across the weekend.
Yeah, for sure. I was blown away by the pitching overall in the playoffs. That's one of my takeaways, but especially, John Reed last night was phenomenal.
Yeah, so let's go to last night. What were some of your thoughts on the Party Animals taking the win against the Tailgaters? And so what were some of your thoughts on last night?
The Party Animals are a really dominant team. I think we've known that all season long, but they really showed it in the playoffs. I mean, you guys just mentioned, pitching was a big storyline throughout the entire weekend, both series. You got great stuff from Bradford Webb. Ben Dunn was phenomenal out of the pen for the Firefighters. You saw Noah Nisnik pitch a good game in Game 2 for the Bananas. Delano, Helton both throw 8 innings for the Party Animals. Pitching was spectacular. And the Party Animals, I mean, were really the best team. They're really kind of the most competent offensive team across the weekend in Banana Ball. I mean, they were the teams collecting home runs. They were getting some good knocks when they needed to. They just put it together consistently. It did not seem like the pressure of the first ever Banana Ball Tour Championship and that playoff atmosphere really got to any of their batters. So I've got to commend them for the job that they did offensively. I know Anthony Coromato, their hitting coach, works really hard with all of those guys. He's done an excellent job with that team since joining in 2024. So I was really impressed with the Party Animals from an offensive standpoint, in addition to, again, what we saw from Helton and Delano, who, it's nice to see two Banana Ball veterans who have been in the game for a really long time assert their dominance like that. I mean, Brett Helton is genuinely the greatest big game pitcher that we have ever seen in Banana Ball history, considering 3 complete games to help them win 9 in a row and claim that 2023 tour, and then throw 8 on Sunday. That guy is our Jack Morris, Madison Bumgarner, John Smoltz, whoever you want to make the comparison to. That's who Brett Helton's become.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Yeah, I'm just really looking forward to that pitching matchup in the championship now with a whole week's rest. You'll probably, I'm guessing, you'll probably see Bradford Webb again and Ben Dunn for the Firefighters, and then you can throw out Garrett Delano or Helton, whoever they feel most comfortable with there, and then Drew Gillespie. And I'm just really looking forward to that pitching duel.
Yeah, I mean, everything's on the line for those guys. It's one game. They're going to use the pen and their pitching staffs however they see fit. So, if Webb starts the game and doesn't have it, you may see Ben Dunn just come in there real early and just try and rip through some innings, and then maybe Johnny Hummel's the guy coming in late. And again, Delano doesn't have it. If he's the starter, vice versa, the same's for Helton. They're probably going to replace the other, just trying to set things up for Drew Gillespie. It's going to be fascinating to see how those situations get managed. And maybe even one of those things where, depending on what the lineup looks like, matchup advantages, if you see a string of left-handers coming up for a particular team, maybe Peter Holden's coming in, or maybe you're seeing Tyler Riggett come in for the Firefighters. So I'm telling you, it's going to be managed a lot like a World Series game, like you're going to see this October between all the teams that are still out there.
No, that's a really good point, because it's one game, you can really maximize it, and they have a week to plan, so they can kind of go through all of those situations. So I really like that. In addition to all the playoff stuff, you're known for the statistics and all that stuff. What does that mean for you coming into this year with bananaball.com/stats coming out there?
Brandon's favorite website.
Thank goodness it's somebody's favorite website. That is the dream scenario that I wanted to hear. I've heard that from a couple people. It gets better and better every time I hear it. So thank you, Brandon.
Which on that, of course, I heard you had a hand in it. Was that like you were the main one on that, or kind of break down like how did that process come to be?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been a dream of ours to have the statistics online. We were keeping them, in Excel sheets and in all these different forms and fashions before 2025. Having stats online helps legitimize the game that we're playing. And, for all the entertainment and stuff that you see in Banana Ball, obviously you also want people to see that we really care about this thing and it's taken very seriously by ourselves and the players. I mean, you see the intensity on the field all the time, especially in these playoffs. But we got together with a company that kind of lined up with our ideals and our mission to put stats online. And throughout the 2024 offseason, Biko and myself helped collaborate with all of them. We don't necessarily have all the coding knowledge, but we do have the Banana Ball knowledge. So it was a lot of collaboration to make sure that we could sync all of those aspects up and develop this website and launch everything live. And I'm really proud of what we've put out there so far, but I think I know we can make it even better. So that's certainly a plan.
Yeah, no, I was definitely I was very impressed with how it was for a first go. And I love the hints at the future, like the filter of what season, and it only shows 2025. And it's like, okay, I'm waiting.
Oh yeah, we're trying to convert that data. Believe me.
So it's just kind of cool to see as everything in Banana Ball, just keep going, keep moving forward, slowly get it, slowly build it. But yeah, I think it definitely does legitimize the sport.
Yeah. So with you are the one that tracks the stats throughout the games. And I'm assuming you had some experience with that prior to Banana Ball. Baseball is kind of an interesting an interesting sport to track because there's certain things where you've got to make a decision on, was that an error or was that a hit? And then now obviously with trick plays, you're making the decision on if that is a trick play. What kind of goes into that? Can you break that down while you're keeping the scorecard?
Yeah. As far as scoring with baseball goes, which is obviously what helped me translate everything to Banana Ball, you just learn by reading and doing it more. Getting to watch games and situations and everything helps you feel like you're making confident calls. Everything, when these decisions are made, you're making it with conviction and what you feel is right for that particular game, As far as trick plays go in Banana Ball, we had the benefit of we've seen so many trick plays over the last, 2 world tours, and then we saw a couple in 2022. And so we've had a full list of all these different types of trick plays. We tracked every single trick play by type this season, it was awesome. I'm very proud that we were able to do that. We weren't able to do that in years prior, but we got some extra hands in that made that job fantastic and a lot easier to do. As far as those trick plays go, we had our big list of every trick play. You're just trying to write everything out, kind of explain it, what it looks like. I mean, we wound up writing a guide to trick plays for this tour championship because they've meant more than ever before. So things have to be clearly defined and labeled for everybody. And the big goal with trick plays is always making sure that we're challenging guys, that there's no way to see a scenario where trick plays can become too easy or there's some kind of loophole to accumulate more trick plays, if you will. We just want to see guys continuing to raise the bar in Banana Ball and create the best spectacle in sports possible for all of our fans.
For sure. And that's so cool here. I think Brett mentioned that you had written some big expose on the trick plays. And then I love that as well, of the constantly trying to make sure it doesn't get too easy, closing the loopholes. I know we had talked about one of them of earlier in the season, you'd see them pop the ball up and then they keep doing it. And we didn't realize that had changed. And I was like, that's going to be a major issue for the equalizer point. And then someone in the chat said that was closed off mid-season. It's like, you guys already fixed it. Like,
yeah, we had changed that in April. It just got to a point where I think, we were talking with certain players, certain coaches, people who obviously hold high opinions in the organization and whatnot. And people just weren't too thrilled with it anymore. And they didn't think, again, that it was really like moving the needle anymore for our fans. That was our big decision that I think we made sometime in April. And ever since then, we really haven't had a lot of those issues with trick plays and everything. Again, the biggest thing that we had to figure out was just making sure that everything was clearly defined and labeled and all in like Word. And from there, once you have it in Word, obviously, you can kind of dispute things, hash them out however you see fit. But it's always a lot easier to just make rulings and to ease a lot of, emotions and whatnot when you've got it written out for everybody.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially like we talked to you very briefly after the first Party Animals game where there was that kind of gray area with Swan doing the 2 push-ups before fielding a ball and then doing 2 push-ups. And so for those that weren't on the live stream for that, can you kind of talk us through like why that did not count as a trick play, like flair versus trick play, kind of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, of course. And the great thing is as well, like I mentioned it on Friday when I was kind of serving as the rules analyst for that broadcast with Drake and Brett. Like we've got a very small committee who in that moment were instantly looking at that trick play and we're all like giving our opinions on the matter. And the great thing is like we've got this committee. We didn't have this in the guide. It wasn't something that we foresaw happening. Then it happened. And luckily when we all put our heads together, we were all in agreement on the situation. Like there wasn't a lot of arguments or trying to convince somebody that we were right and they were wrong. And the big thing that we wound up finding when we analyzed that play was Swan fields the ball in a traditional manner. Then he does some push-ups and then he flips the ball in a traditional manner. Is there really a trick that goes on in this play, or did Swan make a very normal baseball play and add in a little flair with some push-ups? We see that from time to time as well with aspects such as the backflip catch. You rarely see it, but every so often a player's trying to line it up. He can't quite start the leap of the backflip in time, so they'll catch it and then they'll hit the flip after the fact. And again, it's like you caught the ball in a standard fashion and then you ripped the backflip. But we'd like to see you in the motion of doing it as you catch it. Again, highest standard, raising the bar, the level of difficulty we like to see. That was where we wound up standing on that Swan play, though, in particular, if that makes sense to you guys.
It does. And I think that's one of the most exciting things is like just hearing you break down like that you guys have actual reasoning behind why it's a trick play.
Yeah. There's always got to be reasoning.
Yeah. And just like that also helps, I think, grow the sport is over time we can start to, as fans, understand this is a trick play, this is not. And like kind of, especially if the equalizer point continues going forward, then it's important for us to understand that. So I appreciate all the sound logic and reasoning behind it.
Yeah. And the great thing is, sorry to interrupt you there, Sammy. The great thing is, like, we wound up, Biko in particular, like, explained the whole situation to Swan, and he was completely understanding about it. He was like, no, that actually makes a lot of sense. And I think if you see Swan ever do the push-ups again, maybe he flips the ball under his arm as he's doing the push-ups or something.
Yeah.
And once I see that, I'm like, you know what? There was really something to that one. You know, that is not an easy thing to do. So I think if we see Swanee do something like that, it's going to be pretty good in my book, at least.
Yeah.
Well, we talked a lot about the Party Animals Tailgaters games. Let's jump over to the Bananas Firefighters. Kind of either or whatever game. Like what kind of stood out to you about their series as a whole?
Oh man, I mean, again, a lot of good pitching. Really, you had Bradford Webb in game one, Ben Dunn piggybacking off of him, keeping the Bananas scoreless, which, you know, across the last 2 months of the season, the Bananas were actually the best offensive team in banana ball. They were just absolutely crushing it. They had so much confidence from every guy in that lineup. And it's hard to be better than the Party Animals, but the Bananas were across those final 2 months, and that's what helped earn them that 1 seed. They wound up getting silenced. The Firefighters brought their best, and it was really surprising to see the Bananas struggle as much as they did offensively. I mean, Bill Leroy was kind of the only consistent bat that I can really think of across both games to have an impact. He reached on a steal of first, drew a sprint, had 2 hits in game 2. Like, it was a really good series for Bill. It's just a lot of his other teammates couldn't exactly join him in on that. And in game 2, the Bananas benefited from trick plays missed that helped them split the series in 4 showdowns. Those Firefighters in game 2 had 3 trick plays missed, and they happened in 3 different innings. And every time that one of them happened, the Bananas earned a point. And that was the difference maker in that ball game. So, they got some gifts from the Firefighters, but in the end, I mean, I guess things evened out for the Firefighters, considering Dalton Cornette hit that home run against Hosley in round 2, immediately ended things. And I talked about it a little bit at the end of that broadcast, but it was poetic because Danny Hosley, he's up there with Drew Gillespie, a couple other guys as who we refer to as, arguably the best pitcher in our sport. And Hosley, when he started on the 2023 World Tour, went from February all the way up into July and had never allowed a home run in his banana ball career. Then July 3rd, 2023 in Akron, Ohio, Dalton Cornette took him deep for the very first time. He's the first guy to ever hit a home run off of Danny Hosley. Syracuse, when the Bananas thought they might win the tour against the Party Animals, Dalton Cornette had a leadoff triple against him in the 8th inning. Like, he's had some massive hits against Danny Hosley in his career. And then it was pretty beautiful to see Cornette strike him yet again and send the Firefighters to the tour championship in showdowns. It was crazy.
Yeah, I can't think about that moment too much.
Yeah.
Back to me.
Yeah, he was. It was sad for him. I was blown away. That rule. We were talking to the young professor after that game, and he goes through the rules every game that he's at, and he was saying that there's that if the ball is hit out of the park in showdowns, it's an instant win. And he was saying, I don't really even think about that rule because it's happened so rarely that you don't even think to mention it. And so that was just so crazy to happen in a playoff game for that rule to be implemented, which you see so rarely.
Yeah, it hurts the Bananas too. I know that they would have obviously loved to have tried to come up in showdowns and swing too, but it's nice that in showdowns, in a way, the visiting team is the first team that gets to bat and everything. It's one of the rare times that they are kind of at a little bit of an advantage, if you will, in the ball game, because the home team had 8 or 9 innings to try and, walk off these teams. And a lot of times they can do it by scoring just 1 run in the inning if they keep the visiting team scoreless in the top half. So the Bananas certainly had their opportunities a ton of times across the series, especially like in game 1. They were 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position that night, which was pretty brutal for them, considering they led the tour in that category this season. But the Firefighters, again, they got that advantage, and Dalton Cornette, he made the most of it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I love that rule because I think that it definitely, without it, the home team probably has way too much of an advantage in showdowns, being able to know what to expect of whether this is a walk-off opportunity or whether this is a do or die situation. So yeah, it's one of those rules where it doesn't happen often, but it happens just enough that then now there's even more pressure and intensity, even as a fan watching it, of I hope they don't hit it over the fence right here. So
yeah,
I love that one.
It was crazy because we did see it happen this season, with Bryson Bloomer, but that was in round 3 or round 4, so the bases were loaded. So if he
was the home team too.
Yeah, and it was the bottom of showdowns, and they would have won even without it going out of the park.
Right.
And so So for this to be the visiting team being able to end it was just way crazier.
Was that the first time that an away team has hit it out of the park, or has that happened before?
The second is
Okay.
so Reese Hampton did it in 2023 in Brockton, Massachusetts.
Okay.
It was in round 1, also against Danny Hosley. I think Hosley hung a curveball. Reese Hampton hit it out, and it was like the Bananas, they don't get the opportunity. Reese won it right then and there. So this happened 4 times now in Banana Ball history. 2 times it's been to the benefit of the visiting team, and 2 times it's been to the benefit of that home team.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, yeah. Do you have anything else from the weekend that you wanted to discuss? Or I know you said at one point maybe some questions from the audience. Like, how are you doing on time?
I'm good on time. I can just hang out, you know.
Awesome. Okay, so if anybody in the chat has any questions for Josh,
I'm gonna try to find some questions.
Yeah, while Sammy's looking, if you have any other questions, throw them in the chat for Josh. Appreciate you being on here, and yeah. While we wait, what are your expectations for the Tour Championship? Like, if you had to pin which team is winning, like who are you going for?
Oh man, it's tough because the Firefighters have proven that their top guys can really throw, and that they can hold good teams scoreless when they really need to. They were certainly clean with trick plays in game 1. It wasn't exactly the case in game 2 for them. Thing is, the party animals are so calm, cool, and collected all the time. They're going to have the benefit of playing as the home team as well. I think I personally lean a little more. If I was putting betting odds on the matter, I'd probably put greater odds on the party animals. But by no means would I be surprised if the Firefighters wound up winning that game because, they took down the Bananas. And I think when a team experiences something like that and they're able to prevail over, somebody who was heavily favored over them, they start to believe that they can really do anything. And I know that the Firefighters have that mentality right now.
Yeah, and anything can happen in one game, and so that's what's so crazy about this is it's not a championship series; it's one game there. Could you talk to kind of the decision to make the championship? The semifinals were a 2-game series. What kind of went into the thought of having the championship game be one singular game?
I mean, these teams kind of duked it out across 2 games, and it's just kind of cool to get the intensity of the winner take all game. I mean, we've seen Major League Baseball, they added after the 2021 season another playoff team into the mix, and the wild card went from being one magical game that a lot of times gave us some really, really special endings. I mean, like the Mets and Giants in 2016 was a great one. The Royals Athletics game in 2014 was amazing. The Rockies and Diamondbacks went into a shootout, I believe, in 2017. Like, those were awesome games, and it was must-watch television. And I actually forgot. Dodgers and Cardinals had a great game. I believe it was the last wild card game, 1-game wild card game ever, and it ended in that Chris Taylor walk-off homer. So you just feel the magic, the intensity of that. I think we're trying to, channel something like that again. There's just nothing like the feeling of the 1-game wild card, or knowing that even after a best of 7 series, or when you're in a best of 7 series, like game 7 is really just, it's that one game. It's that winner take all. It's really cool. The teams earn their right to be in it. And, now they just get the opportunity to roll all of their best guys out in a winner-take-all game. It's really just a big test to the talent and also a little bit of strategy at the same time.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Just a magical one game is going to be awesome. Yeah, and we're excited to be there too. So
happy to have you guys there. It's going to be great.
We haven't seen in-person showdowns, so we're hoping that'll be a great time to see it.
Yeah, and that's another great thing. Like, if the game is tied after the 9 innings, it's like, of course you're going to get showdowns, man. That's banana ball.
Yeah.
I sure hope so.
So we have some questions here. This one was from a while ago, but we'll throw this one on. Matt O says, Josh, what was your favorite trick play that happened this season?
Man, great question. Off the top of my head, and this might be a pretty popular opinion, but anytime that DR Meadows hits a barehanded backflip catch, it's only happened twice. Like, we kind of think it's the greatest trick play that's ever happened. It is a really high level of difficulty trick play. And he did it the first time in Grayson Stadium. And the second time he does it this season, it's in front of, like 40,000 in Cincinnati, Ohio. And the reaction, the pop to that was unbelievable. I think he did that in the 8th inning as well. So, like, we're getting in the late stages of this game, and things are pretty darn intense. And DR Meadows winds up hitting that. It was truly spectacular. Hosley as well. I believe this came in the game that set the single game trick play record in banana ball history. He's on the pitcher's mound. He has it hit back to him, and his reflex is just instantly to grab it behind his back. And I believe it started a double trick play, double play. I believe Olsen added one on after that. Those were two really impressive trick plays that stood out for me.
Yeah, I still remember that one, and he just looked nonchalant. Like, it was just like normal day at the office, just behind the back.
Hosley's got a real knack of doing things like that, man. I'm jealous of it.
Yeah, and I love, as Sammy gets up another question, I love the DR Meadows. Like, I love the ability that we have as fans to, like, he's telegraphing it. He chucks the glove, and it's like,
yeah,
okay,
right.
He's not just going to catch it barehanded. He's definitely going to do something, and then pulls it off, and it's just really cool to see.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'll shout out one more, Andy Cosgrove behind the back in Miami with the catcher's gear on. That one was awesome. I love that one.
Yeah, catcher's trick plays, I think, is going to be a really cool one to keep growing in. I've heard rumblings that, like, Taylor Justice might be, like, wanting to do a backflip, which is just absolutely insane to try in a game with catcher's gear on, but that would be phenomenal to pull off.
Yeah, I mean, everything's possible.
Yeah.
All right, so we got this one. Jessica Eubanks says, I know you can't say much before the city selection show, but what about where the league is going excites you? Going, meaning aspirations, not asking for city stops.
Okay, awesome. Good question. Obviously, I'm excited to add 2 more teams and see how that kind of changes things in banana ball. I just love seeing more competition. Every time you bring in more banana ball talent on these new teams, guys impress you with something brand new that you've never seen before. I mean, you even saw the impact of what some of the visitors did. I mean, to single out Fisher Polydorov, like, we've never seen anybody who, was just chucking knuckleballs out there on the mound. That is stuck that much to, like, a character. He's pretty unbelievable. And I think you'll see the same things on guys who wind up on the new teams in banana ball as well. I love the aspect of, each team having 30. They're going to play games as the away team 30 times. They'll play as the home team 30 times. I think it's going to balance a lot of things out. The walk-off title kind of has always belonged to the Bananas across banana ball history, but it would not be surprising whatsoever to see a player on one of the other 5 teams next year that isn't the Bananas win the walk-off title next season, because, again, each team's going to get 30 home games. I love the excitement. I love just being able to, I think, compare things a little better amongst all of the players based on the fact that it's going to be a more balanced schedule for everybody. Yeah,
I love that. That's something that we've been, like, as we've, like, dove into, like, the bananaball.com/stats. It's like, well, the Bananas always have an advantage on the trick plays, and the Party Animals, the other team, have the advantage on home runs because they get more at bats and, like, all of that. So yeah, that's something that excites me too about next season. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and that's why we like looking at a lot of things on a rate basis. If we want to, like, compare things, you want to see, okay, what is the rate that you're hitting home runs compared to somebody on another team who might get more at bats than you? What is the rate you're getting trick plays and everything? So rate-based statistics are pretty awesome.
Yeah. We had to add that in a couple of times. Like, that's one of my favorite things to look at, because it was like, okay, yes, Jake Skull is the best hitter in banana ball, but also Reese Alexiades has more home runs per at bat. And it's just like, yes, right. You got the more, but we got to throw Reese out there.
We need an episode with you two, and you just talk about stats for an hour. I think.
Yeah, man. Something like Moneyball.
Yeah. Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, you brought up a Fisher there. I just got to throw this out there. We interviewed him, and I think that we had to edit that interview more than any of the others because he jumps on and he's in character, and I just could not handle it. Like it was like it's the hardest interview. He's such an awesome guy, and like we talked to him like after, and it's just. But like him hopping on in character, I just could not. It was the hardest interview. It was hilarious.
Yeah, man, he's an entertainer. He's really impressive.
All right, so let's do this one. Josh, what was your favorite walk-up or celebration this season?
Oh my goodness. Favorite walk-up or celebration?
Pulling out the hard ones here.
Yeah, and I really got to jog my memory, across the year and whatnot to remember those. Oh my gosh, I liked when we hopped on the trend. I believe it was in Atlanta when Dan Oberst did the morning routine with the water and the bananas and everything. I love that one so much because he followed it up with a single too. It's just like. Dan's not always the most popular guy getting all the walk-ups, but son of a gun, he gets his opportunity and he's completely unfazed afterwards and gets a single, provides for his team and everything. That one was really fun. I didn't get to see it in person, but I love some of the Jake Skull walk-ups. Like I liked when he did Teenage Dirtbag on the Party Animals headline tour. I just felt like that was great for the Party Animals brand and vibe. That one was pretty great. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think. Joe Lytle Smells Like Teen Spirit in Seattle was awesome. I just love that song also, so it certainly helps matters. But then he gets up on the netting, like right in front of the fans behind home plate, and then kind of like jumps back and crowd surfs into his teammates. Like the lights went off in the stadium. That one was pretty elaborately done, and I think it was nailed very well. So those are some of my favorites going off the top of my head when it comes to walk-ups.
Yeah, I will say I've been impressed with the firefighters walk-ups. Like they feel the most elaborate and the most like the entire team is a part of the process. And I really like that. So really quickly before we get to another question, Jessica says she'd watch an hour-long stats show. So we have some other stats fans out there.
Okay, I'm going to let Jesse Cole know about that. And maybe we'll see if things get moving and shaking.
For sure. Well, this is an interesting one. You may not have a lot on this, but asking, with the Bananas only having 30 home games, how is this going to impact the TV packages and Bananas headliners, since the Bananas is the most well-known brand, as well as you can add in there like YouTube, like if you know anything and it's not spoiling Thursday?
I actually do not know much about what TV packages look like or even how we may handle games across the different channels, if maybe everything kind of gets hubbed on Banana Ball from now on, or maybe if depending on who the home team is, it is on their YouTube pages. It's not something that we've wound up that we've just been able to discuss enough. I think we've been so busy, it was quite the sprint to the finish line, and then the tour championship came upon us, and we worked super hard across the, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, everything to make the games from Thursday to Sunday, like at the highest level possible for everybody.
Yeah. And I think it shows. And I also like, just to shout out the shift in the broadcast when you were added on the side, like absolutely loved that, of like getting like feeling like we were in the booth of like, hey, we're making this decision on the fly. Here you go, Josh. You got a hot mic. Go for it. So it
was cool. I really enjoyed that too. I would certainly do it again if we ever found ourselves in another situation like that.
So if there was a situation like that and like you weren't there, like I'm assuming there's someone in that role at each game. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Cool. That would be awesome. I don't know if you can answer this, but what's your favorite Banana Ball team?
Oh man, people ask me this all the time. I've been around here for quite a while, and I just keep getting to, kind of oversee Banana Ball at large. Like, it's hard for me to single out a favorite team. And I know that Biko and I are like the Bananas broadcasters calling all of their headlining games and whatnot. But like, we, at the end of the day, want all of the players to, have their stories told, build them up in the like highest degree possible and everything. And we just want to see everybody hopefully succeed. Obviously, there's always going to be some winners and losers and whatnot, like in the game, but it's hard to single out favorite teams. Each one has kind of like a special and significant soft spot in my heart. Like you like them all for different reasons, if that makes sense.
It does. And I think that goes back to like, I think Jesse's vision of just like whatever they've done with Banana Ball, like the fact that each team feels so distinct. Whereas it's like, okay, in other sports, it's like, okay, you're the Pirates, but that's just your name. Like it doesn't right. mean anything, where each one has a distinct vibe, a distinct feeling. And so I think that's awesome.
I'm also keeping the stats for all these guys, so I don't want any of them to start making any conspiracies and thinking I'm for or against any of them either. So
yeah, for sure. Okay, we got a really fun one here. Spin it however you want. Eli says, what special guest appearance made you think, well, this is random?
Oh man, well, this is random.
And or favorite, et cetera, et cetera.
So, we'll peek behind the curtain for everybody. We all season, like we like to know who the special guests are going to be. Helps us prep with our notes and everything. Help tell any stories about the guests who are going to play with us. Make sure we're touching on all the cool career milestones, whether they were athletes or whether they were musical artists or whether they're influencers or like content creators, like whatever it may be. Want to be able to like encapsulate their stories very well. But there was one guest this season who everybody kept from us. They would not let us know who it was going to be. And it was our guest umpire in New York in Yankee Stadium. Like, we're going to have one. But you like, we're not going to tell you guys. You are not allowed to find out. I think they genuinely just wanted a authentic, raw reaction when Eli Manning tore off the hat and the clothes and whatnot, the umpire garb, and, had the Giants jersey on underneath. It was pretty cool. That one made me think like, it didn't make me think this is random, but I was like, this is pretty darn crazy that Eli Manning was here. Yeah. We had Peyton in, Denver just hanging out in the dugout and whatnot, which was awesome. And then it's like, oh, well, I guess it kind of does make sense that we were able to convince his brother to come and do this. And he, spent his whole career in New York, very beloved up there. It was pretty special.
Yeah, my favorite part of that was like when he throws his jersey into the stands and the dad caught it and shows it to his daughter, and you can just imagine like she's like, what the heck is this? And he's like, no, this is like an amazing football player. Like, you gotta see this.
Yeah, I'll explain it to you when you're older.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Amy Miller says, what was your favorite stadium from this tour?
I'm going to shout out. I just have to give an honorable mention. It was a soft spot in my heart. I don't know if I ever made as big a deal about it as maybe what could have been possible on the broadcast. But like, I grew up a diehard Braves fan, and getting to play in Truist Park for 2 days was like a dream come true. Being up in that broadcast booth, being down in the dugout, being in the visiting locker room where all the guys were set up on the field. Like, that was amazing. We wound up, like, my family and I, there's this cool tradition. My grandparents went to the very first game in Fulton County Stadium, the first game in Atlanta Braves history. Then when Turner Field opened up in 97, my mom and my dad went to the very first game. And then in 2017, when Truist Park opened, I went with my mom to see that game. So we've always had a generation in the family at like the very first Braves game. And then it's like, I'm a part of the very first Banana Ball game in Truist Park.
That's awesome.
It was magical. And I loved seeing Charlie Culberson there. He was He was a favorite of mine during his Braves tenure. He really grew on me. But another favorite stadium was PNC Park in Pittsburgh. That place is spectacular. It is just a real beaut. You have an incredible skyline. You see the bridges. You see the Allegheny behind you. And the press box is set up super high, and I believe it so you can get that skyline. And also, if a player ever hits the home run into the Allegheny, you're high enough that you know it was in there. And I feel like you never hear a broadcaster miss out on giving the people that note if a ball does go into the river. So that place was pretty spectacular. I loved PNC Park.
Yeah, that was one I never seen that like park before, but then you guys showed some images from up top and I was like, wow, now I want to go there. That's awesome.
Yeah, you put a baseball stadium around water, it always seems to be a pretty decent decision.
Yeah, is it in San Francisco? Is it the Giant Stadium where the kayakers will go try to get the ball? Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, over in McCovey Cove.
Yep. Yeah. All right, this one kind of goes along with it. Do you have a stadium, college or pro, that you would like to see them play in the future?
Certainly. Mine is probably a little selfish, but now that we've started to venture our way into football stadiums, like I went to the University of Georgia, and I would love to see us play at Sanford Stadium at UGA. It'd be a really sweet homecoming. Hopefully, in some capacity, the Party Animals would get to play there too. Like, I would love to see Jake Skull have another moment there because he was on the Georgia football team during his college time there too. Like, I would love to be able to witness that and see the culture that I got to see during 4 years of college translate to banana ball. I think they'd really show out for it. I do, because the people in Clemson sure did when we were there in April.
Yeah, I hope. I'm assuming there's more football at stadiums. I just love, even not like the football itself, I love the different dimensions.
Oh, it's a spectacle.
That was my favorite part.
Right.
Like, when you like hit it to like the deep part and then it's an out and it wouldn't have been home or anywhere else. And then Jake Skull is just like, okay, I'm just gonna take advantage and just
he can just flick his wrist and put it over the left field wall. That's just talent, man.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I want to make sure, like, how are you on time?
I've probably got, like 5 more minutes.
Cool. Okay, well, we can maybe do like one more question and then we'll do some closing thoughts.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Really appreciate you coming on. Okay, Sammy, you got all the pressure.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's going to be so mad at me if there's – okay.
Just while we're waiting on that question, to everybody who's tuned in and watching, thank you guys all for tuning in tonight and hopping on the stream, sending your questions, and just listening to us chat about the Banana Ball Tour Championship so far.
Yeah, it's been a ton of fun. All right. Let's see. Let's just do this one.
Okay.
So, speaking of rate-based stats, was there ever any consideration to send just the Bananas and Party Animals to the championship, given how they dominated the season in win rate, trick plays, etc.? So basically, like, what went into having a playoff bracket instead of just sending the Bananas and Party Animals to the championship based on their stats?
I mean, with 4 teams, you want to make sure that you can see what a playoff bracket looks like. Like, obviously, we're about to enter into a league where we have 6 teams. We obviously want to see what playoffs look like with 4 right now and make sure that the format works in Banana Ball. And I think we saw that it definitely did, and that anything can happen. Like, sure, the Bananas and Party Animals would have, theoretically would have earned a right to be able to play in a championship game against each other. But you also want to make sure that all of these teams have a fighting chance and see what they can bring when the moments really matter. I mean, it was kind of 33 games for the Firefighters and Tailgaters to kind of get right before they really brought it in the Tour Championship. And both of those teams played darn hard. And I'm proud of what I saw from everybody involved. I really am.
Yeah, I love that there's the opportunity for an upset. There's always more intensity and more fun, even when it's sad. When there's
it's great for stories. You know, we're broadcasters. We live to be able to tell stories and kind of document history and whatnot. And for the rest of time, you know, we get to talk about the Firefighters in the first year that we ever had any kind of playoff bracket and tour championship, being the 4 seed and being able to upset their way to playing in the championship game. And if they win it, it's going to be an even crazier story from there.
For sure. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be great however it ends.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if they do win it. I remember when they first did the college football playoff with 4 teams, and Ohio State won the first one as the 4 seed, and so everyone had fun saying, 100% of 4 seeds have gone on to win the championship. And so maybe we'll see something like that. It's like, the best place to be is the 4 seed, the last one in.
Yeah, you never know. Like we obviously got to learn a little bit about strategy in the Banana Ball Tour Championship. Like if it's me, if I was hypothetically managing a team in the Tour Championship, and this is if the formats to stay the same in the future, you want to win game 1. You want to win game 1 pretty darn bad.
Yeah.
In my opinion. You just want to make sure that you can force showdowns. And I just feel like you win game 1 in a series where it's a best of 3, but that third game is showdowns. Game 1 really puts you in a more comfortable position. Like that's the driver's seat right there.
Yeah, for sure. Because you almost have to, like, the team that lost has to put everything into just getting to showdowns and then kind of on the back foot a little bit.
Yep, and showdowns is unpredictable. You just never know.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, Josh, really appreciate you coming on. We would love to have you on in the future. And again, everything you guys do for Banana Ball is incredible, and the fandom that you guys are creating is awesome. So really appreciate you and everything you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys too. I love seeing what you guys have done all season, documenting Banana Ball as well. Continue to keep up the great work. Reach out. I'd love to be able to join at another time. And we'll be excited to have you in Grayson Stadium this weekend. So have safe travels over here, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Can't wait.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, guys.
See ya.
See ya.
See you later.
I can't even try because it doesn't put any justice to
it. They do
it
it so well.
Why did I not expect that?
Yeah, I don't know.
That is awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for still being here. We're going to stay on for a little longer talking about the playoffs as a whole. So if you have any other questions, we'll monitor the chat a little bit closely with that. But really, really appreciate all that you guys are doing there. But yeah, I think just throwing this up here. I love Josh, Mitchie Chan Sports, Amy Miller. I love when him and Vico do that. LOL. Yeah, it's awesome. It's a great ending catchphrase. It's just so them. So I love seeing that.
Yeah, that was so fun. It was good to talk to him, and yeah, we really need to get you two together to just talk stats and just nerd out a little bit, because I no one loves stats more than you guys, I think. So
I think for sure. Eli, he did the thing. Okay, so going to playoffs as a whole, but also game 4, there was a moment in game 4 that happened. So game 2 of the Party Animals Tailgaters that I really want to reference. And I'm going to bring up a video because only the video will do it justice.
Yeah, this was pretty hilarious. I don't think we have never seen this before. And so just want to throw it out there while Brandon is throwing it up here. I'm just going to keep talking. I know you guys love hearing my voice, even though I have nothing to say right now as we're getting this up. All right, here we go.
Okay, moment of truth. So here we go. It's a foul ball into the stands. What's going to happen? And the announcers go crazy. It was a fan-caught foul ball. And it's Zach Phillips. He is a pitcher for the Savannah Bananas, and he's just there as a fan. Literally the next day after him and his team were just eliminated, he catches the foul ball to help the Party Animals out. When he stood up on that, I didn't recognize him. I was like, oh, cool, that fan's just asserting how cool that was. And then they called it on the broadcast. It was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was hilarious to see that. And I think I saw a comment. I can't remember which Party Animals player it was on the Instagram video that they put out. But I think someone was like, the only time I've been excited to see him catch a ball or something like that. Yeah, it was so funny for it to be for the Party Animals is just extra funny because that it's like their rival, but all those guys love each other, but it's so funny.
Yeah, I thought it was especially hilarious because like if I pull this out, like this on Twitter, it went 2.2 million views and just went kind of crazy. And some of the comments were just hilarious where they're like, wait, how did the Savannah Bananas get eliminated? I thought that it was rigged and they win every game. It was funny that was the post that like tipped them off that the Savannah Bananas had been eliminated. But yeah, all around, fan caught foul balls are great, but they're even better when a player rigs the catch.
Yeah, guess what, guys? This is a real sport. So funny when people find that out. And I think, it goes back to what we were saying earlier, that it's probably for the best for the brand of Banana Ball to have the Firefighters in the championship game against the Party Animals.
Yeah, so Kiki says she knew it was him as soon as she saw him. Liz says, is this even legal? I love that, like, yeah, the conversation between Brett and Drake. Drake was like, 100% it's an out. And Brett's like, no, not for the tailgaters, which is super funny. Mago, I love that. Victoriously Broken, I love watching that over and over. Yeah, I've seen that video way too many times. Jessica, I screamed so loud I scared my dog when I recognized Philly. Oh my gosh, that was awesome. The Bananas losing is perhaps the best thing that could happen in this sport. Yeah, unfortunately, as much as it hurts, I agree.
Yeah, it was an interesting conversation that we had with Drake Toll in our interview with him that we posted a few months ago. You should go and check that one out. That was a lot of fun. But he talked about how, and some of you guys may say that he's a little biased, but he was talking about how the Party Animals are the most important brand for Banana Ball, and I agree with him because the Party Animals are what they're the foil to the Bananas, and they're what gives this this is what gives the sport validity, right? It's not just people see the highlights with Bananas, they see the dances with the Bananas, they see that on TikTok or whatever, but the Party Animals being with how great of ball players they are, their offense and everything like that, they bring validity to the sport and show that it's not just about the Bananas. And the Firefighters to step up and take them down in the semifinals, they kind of put themselves in that same position that Drake was talking about, that now growing the Firefighters brand in the championship game is going to be huge. And so it's been a cool weekend. Brandon's obviously sad, and I know there's a lot of Bananas fans that are sad, but when we think about this is how it's going to become the sport that Jesse sees it becoming, and what we all see it becoming. Like, we're going to have 6 teams next year, a whole league. The Bananas can't carry all of that weight. It's just not going to work if that happens. And so for these teams to step up like that is just huge.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's a really great point. And as Biff says, I am biased and I agree. That's totally fine. It's totally fine to be biased. That's one of the things that is kind of exciting, is like being able to be, in my experience, being able to be a fan of Banana Ball in general and all of the teams with a slight bias towards the Bananas has been really fun. And that's able to, like, I have somewhat of a fandom, but I also feel more attached to all of the teams and everything as a whole. Like, there's a part of me that's kind of excited going into the Tour Championship without having a team attached, because I can just be excited for all the cool moments. If there's a home run, I can be excited without feeling a little bit of anxiety. I can just let loose. And then if a foul ball comes anywhere near me, I can snag it. And I'm going to try. I will try to get a foul ball. That is my number one goal from the Tour Championship. I know there's not a lot in Grayson, but we don't have seats, so we're in that standing room area. So able to move around a little bit. So we'll see.
You're going to run over someone. No, we don't want that.
No, we do not.
Don't embarrass us.
We don't want that trending of podcaster takes someone out and then misses the ball anyways.
Yeah, face plants into the
oh gosh. Right here, Mego, you need to interview Zach Phillips. Yeah, we would love that. We some insight for those watching right now. We're doing playoff breakdowns right now, and then we normally do a weekly breakdown of the podcast. And because there's no games coming forward, our weekly podcast will now become interviewing players. So we're going to try to have a different player or cast from Banana Ball on each week during the off season to kind of keep you guys in the loop on Banana Ball, all those things, with an occasional episode where Sammy and I will kind of talk about any news that comes out or kind of catching up on some of those things. Also, back to the conversation there, Anne-Marie, the party animals paved the way for the teams that came after. 100%. What the firefighters are able to do is on the shoulders of the party animals, and so it all comes back to them.
Yeah, we're really excited to have a bunch of interviews this off season. It's going to be a lot of fun, and this has been such a fun weekend. We're so excited to be there next weekend to document the championship. And yeah, so just stay with us, subscribe and see what all the other fun stuff that we're doing. It's going to be fun.
And the best part is that we just started this earlier this season, so we're still learning all the things that we're doing. So you watching this right now, let us know if there's something that we're not doing currently that you would like to be added to the podcast episodes, things that we can improve upon. Like, we want to be able to bring as much of the inside scoop to you guys as we can, just breaking down the games from a fan's perspective. So if there's anything else, always let us know. We really, really appreciate all of you guys being here. I want to call this one out. Liz, I can't wait till Young Professor comes back. He was dropping so much insider knowledge. Yeah, it was awesome. I think he was one that's very different from the other guests we've had because he's fully focused on the entertainment side. That was really fun to dive into that world.
Yeah, it was really cool to hear some of his decisions. I loved it when he started talking about the pizza guy. That was so funny to hear the background story there. If you haven't watched the live stream from Saturday night, you're going to want to see that. The Young Professor was on for a really long time, from the majority of that. It was awesome. He's such a great guy. We're really looking forward to having him on for a full interview. But me and Brandon, when we went to the game in Frisco, the Tailgaters headlining the first weekend where they're headlining, the pizza guy was there, and he's what's his name again? I don't know.
If anyone in the chat remembers, let us know the pizza guy's name. It shocked us. We were like, what the heck is this?
Yeah, we saw him on the dugout, and we're just like, what is going on? Like, this is the Luigi. Yeah,
Luigi.
That totally makes sense.
Thank you, Andrea and Kiki.
Luigi, the pizza guy. He's a professional wrestler that's like throwing the pizza dough up in the air and everything. I'm like, this is like Texas pizza. And then so to hear his background, it's food, right? You're not always grilling. And he's like, he just knew of him, and so he decided to reach out and like also like this is do the exact opposite, whatever is expected, the exact opposite. That he brought that up too. And then the funniest thing was like he said that there's an Italy, Texas, and so that's why he was like justifying it, right? And so that was probably the funniest part of that interview. So you're gonna have to go back and see it because Luigi is hilarious.
Yeah, and then Biff, it isn't real pizza dough, which I thought was funny. I would assume it's some weird thing, especially because he was doing it in his like wrestling career or something, which is crazy. Eli says we're making him hungry now. And then I do want to call this one out, Liz, from the Young Professor's interview. He talked about how there's an Italy, Texas, and then like a Paris, Texas, and then he wanted to get a mime. That's hilarious. So Liz says, my daughter totally wants a mime now. That would be awesome. But yeah, I think with the Tour Championship, with the playoffs as a whole, like this has been successful. Like we didn't know exactly how it was going to go coming into this, but being able to see all of those things and seeing how it's come out, like the playoffs is a super big success.
Eli, I know what you're trying to do. I'm trying to hold it. I'm holding back my rant right now.
So it's kind of, for those who are new here, it's kind of an inside joke between the commenters that they want Sammy to rant. So they try to throw things in there to try to get him to go off. So Eli says, dang it.
Every once in a while, I just start going off on some random side tangent. And because we've had guests on, it's kind of reeled me in, so I haven't gone crazy. But yes, I agree. The playoffs have been 100% successful, and I'm just so excited for next year. And I really am hoping, I've said this before, but then I'm just hoping that they keep the same format, because I just think this format is perfect to have to have sorry, I'm just Eli is just
Eli's trying so hard right now. Just don't look at the chat, Sam.
Okay, just gonna close my eyes. No, I just think that it's a perfect format to have showdowns as the third game essentially, and then to have the one-off in the championship is going to be legendary. And so it's just so cool to have that. And I just really like what's going on. And then the equalizer point has been an awesome addition as well. And just I'm hoping that it's just the same. You just have 6 teams, top 4 teams make it, and you just go with that format. That's my vote. If they come up with something else, I'm sure it'll actually end up being better, because that's what they tend to do. But right now, that's just what I think should happen.
Yeah, for sure. Couple comments here. Anne-Marie, I love that even this podcast is inside jokes. We do too. The fans, everyone here in the chat is what makes this thing possible. We really appreciate you guys. Ari says, I'm hoping the boys don't get moved around too much, if at all. That is a really interesting point, because, again, this is our first season watching Banana Ball. So we've never experienced an off season where we've gotten attached to the players and then coming into it and we will really notice hey, Dalton Cornett used to be on the Party Animals. Now he's on the Firefighter. I'm really excited to notice some of those changes. And again, I hope that a lot of them don't move around, because there's some of them like the Party Animals. It just doesn't feel right if they then move over to the Bananas, or if they go over to the Tailgaters. You have to have some level of moving around, and I'm sure there'll be a couple pieces, but I definitely agree that by and large, keeping it as much the same is definitely helpful for that. But
yeah, I think there's probably going to be some movement, though. There's certain players that they're so attached to whatever team it is, and they're part of that brand. But if you want as much parity as possible, I think you're going to have to make some moves. But who knows? Maybe not, because the Firefighters kind of proved us wrong with this playoff. It's they're just as good as everyone else, but with just how dominant the offenses have been for the Bananas and the Party Animals this year in comparison to the other two teams, you kind of wonder if they're going to kind of shift some stuff around. But we don't have any inside information on that. That's just kind of what my thought is. Especially because you bring in 2 new teams, you can't have all rookies on those teams. So
totally.
You have to have veterans move to those ones. So it's just going to happen. And
that's the Firefighters. They got, to my knowledge, they got Dakota McFadden from the Bananas. They got Noah Bridges from the Bananas. They got Dalton Cornett from the Party Animals. And I think Joe Lytle from the Party Animals, if I'm remembering right, as well as maybe a couple more. But they're able to then help kind of lead the team, introduce the players. You saw the same thing with the Tailgaters, getting some of those veterans. So I think they'll move a couple. But yeah, I hope that they have a lot, or you could have some of the visitors that come in, fill that role, being able to at least have some of the games played.
Right.
Oh my goodness, there's a lot in the chat. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it.
This has been such a fun one. You guys are the best. The chat really makes it so we have things to talk about. You guys have better ideas than us most of the time.
Yeah. The Thomas, the only change I'd like to see is more incentives, maybe extra points to attempt trick plays. What do you guys think about that? So I don't know if you've seen the last little bit with the equalizer point. In our opinion, as of right now, the equalizer point to me is exactly what it's needed, and there isn't really anything else on top of that. I know that I loved Biko's talk before the equalizer point when he was on our live stream. He was mentioning how he wanted most trick plays gets an extra point in the standings, and there's other ways they could have done it. I think overall, probably just one rule is probably the most ideal, because then it makes it simpler for the fans to kind of keep track of. But we'll see. I definitely want them to make sure that trick plays are part of the competition and not just something for added on flair.
Yeah, I think the equalizer point is just perfect. But then the young professor started poking holes in the equalizer point on Saturday night, which was really, really interesting. Of like, what if we get to 2 hours and you're not in the eighth inning hasn't ended yet? Like, what do you do about that? Like, you're only So that was an interesting thing but I'm sure they'll figure all of that stuff out. But interesting stuff. But I definitely think that the equalizer point is the best way to award trick plays and so.
Yeah, for
All
sure.
right.
Eli, I want to call this one out. Y'all should try and do a backflip catch to record a fan out. So obviously, I don't know how to do backflips, and I'm also not going to do one with a bunch of fans around. But that definitely is a dream of mine to learn how to do a standing backflip and catch a ball with it. The only experience I have is when I was like 14, I did it on a trampoline and on a diving board for like a week. And then I landed on my back one of the times. And ever since then, I haven't done a backflip again. So maybe I'll try to bring it back. I think that's one of the most one of the coolest trick plays in Banana Ball.
I have a really funny backflip story.
Okay, there we go. Let's go. Eli, you did it. Not in the way you thought, but you did it.
I don't know if I've told this story before, but this is a story that makes me laugh every time I think about it. I was in third grade. It's actually a pretty short story. I was in third grade and we were at recess, right? And this kid, his name was Emery, and if you're watching, I haven't seen you since elementary school, so if you're somehow watching, let me know. But this kid, he climbs to the top of the play structure, right? And he tells everyone he's going to do a backflip. And we're like, dude, you don't know how to do a backflip. And he's like, yes, I do. We're like, okay, do it. And so he jumped straight backwards and does not rotate at all. And so he just falls directly on his back in the bark chips.
Oh my God.
And the wind's totally knocked out of him. And I just see it. Every time I think about it, I chuckle a little bit because it's this kid who's just like, he's like, yes, I can do it. We're like, we all knew that he couldn't do a backflip, and he just did it anyway. He was totally fine. He just got the wind knocked out of him. He's fine, but haven't seen him since elementary school. Not since that moment. I saw him after that, so I know he's fine.
He never came back.
So there you go. You guys wanted a story tonight. I gave you a story.
I do think we need to jump over to this because this is a very interesting conversation with the equalizer point, one I've kind of been mulling over a little bit. So there's a couple comments. We'll kind of go through them here. So Liz says, anyone wonder why we didn't see any DR backflip catches? Were there not any opportunities? I remember distinctly that he got one backflip catch in the playoffs. And then there was another one. I think it was game 2 in the 8th inning where I remember like talking to Sam. I was like, he's got to go for it. It was 8th or 9th inning. And then he just did a normal catch. So there was definitely a couple opportunities, but in that moment from a competition and trick plays, it didn't make sense for him to do that. Ari says, I just don't think the equalizer point should have been put in the playoffs first. Yeah, it's hard to test in the playoffs, but I definitely think that it was a needed transition for the playoffs to talk about this next one because all of this combined. Mitchie Chan Sport says the current fan out rule discourages fans from doing trick plays. Oh, sorry. I thought this was with actual players. So one of the things that I've seen is that they have done less trick plays, especially in the later innings. I think that the equalizer rule makes them do more in the beginning. It doesn't make them do less. I think that the playoffs would have had them doing less anyways, and the equalizer point brings more. But I have been mulling that over because it felt like before, like in that DR Meadows catch, like every time in a moment like that, he would have done a backflip. But with the playoffs, he might not have done it anyways. And so it's just kind of like an interesting back and forth that we'll kind of see with some of that. But I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Honestly, I'm getting kind of tired and kind of zoned out. So
no worries. Well, I think we can end in just a second. We got oh my goodness. Okay, I was going to go to something else. We got someone trying to compete with Sammy's lore. So I love KJ says, that is so similar to me. My best friend climbed up to the top of the playground at recess when we were in kindergarten. He jumped off and broke his arm. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Thankfully, there was no broken bones in mine. But yeah.
Yeah. So, and then there were the couple questions about the fan caught foul balls. Yes, right now a fan caught foul ball, if they do any type of trick, it doesn't really count because I mean the ones that they could do is like a tipping it up and stuff.
You can't bobble it.
But the nice thing there is that if you are a fan of the team that is batting, this was my strategy all along.
Yeah.
If the Bananas were in the Tour Championship, I would bring my glove, and if the Bananas hit it, I would pop it up and then catch it so that I could get the ball, be able to say I caught a fan caught foul ball, but oh no, it was a bobble, and so it doesn't count to get the Bananas out. So I think use that rule to your advantage when it's your team so that you can still get the ball, but then just go for the straight catch when it's the other team. So that's my thoughts.
No, just be an agent of chaos and catch anything. That's what you should do.
Hey, that's what I'm going to do in the Tour Championship. I'm going to be – there's a foul ball on the other side of the stadium. I'm just going to book it off running and try to catch it before it lands. Awesome.
Please don't run anyone over and where everyone hates us.
All right. Try not to.
All right. Well, yeah, we should probably end here, but
we really appreciate everyone for coming on and staying on this whole live stream. It was so much fun having Josh on to break down a lot of the playoffs for us. And again, we are going to be going to the Tour Championship, which means a week from today on October 13th, we'll be doing another live stream, same exact time, 8:30 Eastern time, 5:30 Pacific time, to break down our experience from the Tour Championship and everything that went along with it. So we hope to see you back for that one, and then for the future player interviews that come here in the near future. So thank you so much for everyone here.
Go party animals and firefighters. We just want everyone to have fun.
I can't say go Bananas. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys.